Have you ever bought a plant and just regretted it like almost immediately after, but even if not immediately, just like a week after? Because I definitely have, and there's definitely been so many just like impulsive plant purchases, especially recently for some reason. And I just wish I had never bought them and saved my money for something that I really loved. I'm gonna go through that list of ones that I regret buying and probably will not buy again unless I really get the bug to buy it. But stay tuned for that list, and this might be controversial, so leave your thoughts in the comments below and hope you enjoy. The first plant by far is my palm tree. I believe it was a Parlor palm tree, and I mentioned in my plants I've killed video that it just got sick immediately when I bought it, and I think it was sick actually before I had bought it, but it was sick and it had spider mites and it was not good. And I don't know why I bought it, because if I had done even the tiniest bit of research, I would have learned that everybody has issues basically with palm trees as indoor plants. And I just it wouldn't have been a good fit for me, and I would have known that. So palm trees are one that I definitely steer clear from, even though there's so many cool varieties and ones that I'm just like, oh, well, maybe I could give it a shot again, but I gotta remind myself, like, no, it will get spider mites. You know what you're like, you won't like it. So that is one that, like, I've wanted it again since my first palm tree, but I've just had to fight the urge to get one, like, every single time that I see a cool one in the store. The second one I really thought I would love, and it's not necessarily the plant that I wouldn't rebuy, but maybe just like the state of the plant that I bought, but it is my variegated string of hearts. And I love my normal string of hearts. It's doing so good, and it's always done really well for me. I haven't had any issues taking care of them whatsoever. But my variegated string of hearts, so I bought it from a local seller that was just, you know, they didn't have a shop or anything like that. And I don't think that they sold me an established plant that was like one vine of the variegated string of hearts, which I understand, like, full plants are so hard to come by, but I think if I bought this plant again, I would need a full pot. So it was like established, and there was a bunch of different like strands vining out, and it would just be like more worth it versus, okay, so the pot that I got, it had the one strand and it was growing just fine for a while, like right after I got it, but it just all of a sudden stopped growing, and I literally didn't treat it any differently than my regular string of hearts. And I don't think that the treatment would be any different. Like, it's just like, if you want more variegation out of it, put it in brighter light, which I have it in bright light already. But like, I know when to water it, I know like how to take care of it, but it just was not growing for me. So I checked the roots, and there was just like one long root connected to the tiniest little tuber on this one strand, and it's just like fine. But it was in a massive pot, and I just don't think it was very happy in there. So what I ended up doing actually was taking it out of its pot and just putting it in water, because I've grown a lot of my string of hearts, like strands, like extra strands, in water before putting them into a pot, because I just find that the roots get more established and grow quicker there, so I can actually see what's happening. And yeah, I've had just a lot of success with that. So I think if I ever bought a variegated string of hearts again, assuming this one like tanks and bites the dust, because I have two strands in water right now because I was able to like propagate part of this strand, and then that's when I checked the rest of it and just put the rest of it in water. So if they survive, that will be a miracle. But I don't think that I would ever buy like a single cutting of a plant like that again, just because I don't know that it's quite worth the time, energy, and money that you're putting into this plant. So yeah, that's definitely one of the top ones on my list. Even though I love the plant, I don't think I would buy it as a starter plant again. Even though I love baby plants, I love seeing them grow. Ones like this, you just want it to be a bit fuller before you actually take the plunge and buy something like that. And it's the same case actually with my string of turtles. And let me show you those actually real quick. So these are my turtles, and they're very like cute and small. And that's like the key word here. Like, I don't know if you've seen string of turtles in person, like at nurseries and everything, but the actual like leaves are generally double, maybe triple the size of these, which is fine. It just makes it even more delicate, like, and this is already a pretty delicate plant. And as you can see at the top here, hopefully, it's like it's not very full. There's not a whole lot of leaves in there, and it's just a lot of vines that I've had to try to like push down into the soil to grow roots, because surprise, surprise, I bought this actually from a seller as well, but it was only like these vines here are basically the only ones that are rooted, and then everything else that was in the top there, she had just like put on top, and she had told me that they were rooted and that she didn't sell cuttings of anything, but there was definitely just some plain like cuttings sitting at the top, which is totally fine because I can handle cuttings. But if I had known that, I probably would have gone about it a bit differently. So if I buy a string of turtles again, assuming if this one died tomorrow, if I had to buy another string of turtles, I would have to make sure that it was well established, that the turtles were big, and it was just very clear that it was thriving, and that it would be totally fine with a change of, you know, environment and all that sort of stuff, because this one had a bit of a shock when it was changed, because I don't think it was established quite enough. Okay, the next one, and some of these plants are gonna be like, I only dislike them because they didn't do well with me, but the next one is my Arrowhead plant that I had before, and once again, this is in my plants I've killed video about how it died and everything like that, but I would not buy an Arrowhead again because it's got that texture of leaf that just like attracts thrips, and I can't handle thrips. They are a pain, and it's kicked me time and time again. And the next one, I know so many people love this plant, and I feel like everybody that has plants has one of these in their house, but it's a snake plant. I don't know what it is about them. I thought I would really like them because I was like, oh, it's an easy plant that I can neglect. Like, I'm all on board. But I got one not too long ago, and it was a big black coral snake plant, and I hated it. I really didn't like it, and I don't know if it's because you literally neglect them and just don't do anything to them, but I just did not have fun with that plant, and I didn't even like looking at it, and it just wasn't nice. And it was a big one too. It was like nearly as tall as me. So like, it wasn't that it was like a baby plant and it just like, I don't know what it was about it. And I think actually the main thing that I didn't like about it, now that I think about it, is I couldn't watch it actively grow, because snake plants are fairly slow growers most of the time. I know obviously there's like exceptions and everything to that rule, but like for all my philodendron, for all my like begonias, I can see the new leaves coming in, and they come in quite quickly, and you can see when it's gonna come. Whereas snake plant, you see like a little tiny start at the bottom, and then it just takes forever to get up, and there's no like unraveling of the leaf, there's no surprise when it actually opens. You just can't see it actively grow until like you maybe look at pictures months apart. And I think that's what I didn't like about it, because I like watching my plants grow, and this one just would not grow. It was basically like having a fake house plant for me. So that's why I wouldn't buy another snake plant. And yeah, I found that I just don't really like them at all, actually. The next one actually had a similar problem to the snake plant. I do like the way it looks a lot. I think it looks really, really nice. And I remember when I first wanted this plant and got this plant, I was super excited about it because I was on the hunt for one for such a long time. But that is a Raven ZZ. And I don't even know if I would get the regular ZZ either. Mine just did not grow very quickly. Once again, like the snake plant, I couldn't see the active growth. There was no leaves unfurling, there was no surprise element, there was no like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like, it threw out one shoot when I had it, because I didn't have it for the longest time, but it threw out one shoot over the course of like several months. And that was super exciting, seeing the new shoot, but then that was it, and that was the only excitement that was there. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, the new leaf is so pretty, because it looked exactly like the rest of them. So I think that's why I didn't like them, was that it was a slow grower, and there was no like surprise, like, you know, nice leaf to look at when it did like actually finish growing. The next one, I'm going to butcher the name, just because all these names, I've like read them, but I've never said them out loud. So now that I have to like say them out loud and there's no set pronunciation for a lot of them, I know I'm just gonna absolutely butcher it. So I hope you know what I'm talking about. But it's actually the Tradescantia, something like that. I don't know. I know there's like a slang term that people use, but I know that like that's changing because it's inappropriate and like all that sort of stuff. but I will put a picture of it here so you know what I'm talking about. But I had one, I think it was a tricolor. It was like the pink, white, and green one, and it was so incredibly pretty when you got like a good angle of it, because these plants, their leaves like bruise, if that's like the proper term, but they bruise so easily, and so you end up with like a lot of dead leaves in the center because it doesn't stay nice and full in there. And yeah, so I didn't like it because of that. It was just so delicate, and I couldn't like touch it, and I couldn't barely even like breathe on it, because then the leaves would bruise, they'd get brown, and it just would not look as pretty as it could look. The redeeming quality to these is they do propagate very, very well. So if you want to fill out the center and you want to like, you know, spruce it up a bit, you can do that very easily. So I might buy them in the future if I found the right one, but it would definitely take the exact right plant for me to buy it again. The next one, I don't necessarily dislike the plant, but it's more so when I get the plant, and that's a ficus tinnicky, whatever that is. It's basically a variegated rubber tree, but not the ruby one. It's got like the yellowish white variegation on the leaves. And I got one of these that was about, I don't know, 2.5 feet tall a year ago. And when I had gotten it, the leaves were already like super curled. But I had a bunch of experience with ficus, so I thought I could like fix it up and like, you know, save it and bring it back to life, you know. And it was just a weird kind of condition that the plant was in when I bought it. And I just don't know why I bought it in that condition, because if you're gonna buy a plant, unless, you know, it's a very good deal on like a plant that would traditionally be very expensive and hard to find, don't buy a rehab plant. Just like leave it as is, unless it's like dirt cheap. This one was not, like, it wasn't expensive, but it just like, it was a waste of money that I could have bought a plant that I would have loved and that was in good condition already. And like those ficuses aren't hard to find. So I don't know why I bought one in that state when I could have gotten one that was much better and not hated it. So the last plant as well that I don't know, I'm trying to love them, but I just don't know if I can. I haven't gotten another one since, but I don't like Hoyas, and I don't think I'd buy another Hoya. I got 2 Hoyas, I think this time last year. I got a Crimson Princess and a Public Calyx, whatever you call those ones. And the Public Calyx, I don't know how you say these things. If you know how or know where to find the right pronunciation, please leave a comment below and help me out. But I liked that one a bit more because I liked the green on the leaves, and it was very splashed, which was nice. But I don't know, I think maybe the growth pattern, once again, there's no leaves unfurling, all that sort of stuff. And then the Crimson Princess, I think it was just the pattern on the leaves was very ugly to me. And I'm sorry if this is your favorite plant in the world. This is just my opinion, you know, like all plants are, you know, beautiful and created equally. But I did not like the pattern on the leaves, and it just, I had, like, when I bought it, it was a massive pot of Crimson Princess. So it was very healthy, and it was probably like, you know, perfect for someone else. It was not my cup of tea. And I would not buy one of those once again. I might get like a Crimson Queen later because I think those are a bit prettier, but I don't know. I don't know if I like Hoya quite yet. I've been trying to because everybody around me loves Hoya, so I feel like I should like them, but I just haven't been able to hop on that yet. So that is it. Those are all the plants that I've gotten before in the past and that I won't get again for a very long time, just because I don't know, something about them. But thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave your least favorite plants in the comments below. I'd love to see them. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later.